video, we are going to talk about the importance of animals for tropical forests. Why are they so important for the ecosystems in which they live? Animals fulfill a variety of different ecological functions which are indispensable for the survival of these ecosystems. First of all, they are pollinators. Without pollination, the plants are not able to produce fruits and therefore not able to reproduce. So this is really an indispensable function without which the ecosystem can't survive. But they are also seed dispersers. They're responsible for the distribution of the plant species in the ecosystem and therefore for genetic flows. Without large animals in the ecosystem, there will be no dispersers for large fruits or seeds. This is of major importance for tropical forests, as there exists a correlation between plant size and fruit size. Without large animals in the ecosystem, it is very probable that we will lose the upper strata of the ecosystem. The loss of the upper strata means the loss of the plants providing shadow for the lower strata, and therefore lead to the loss of this more sun-sensitive plant species. And therefore the ecosystem will probably change completely. This will have serious consequences, leading to an ecosystem that is probably completely different from the ones we know today. So this means that large-sized animals are indispensable for the survival of the tropical forests. But animals are not only seed dispersers, they are also seed processors. Studies have shown that seeds that pass through the digestive system of animals show much higher germination rates, and therefore this influences enormously the reproduction of the plant species. And there exists a lot of plant species that produce fruits with hard shells that need to be broken up in order to be able to germinate. Without the interaction of animals, these fruits won't germinate, and therefore the plant species won't be able to reproduce. An example is the fruit of the jatoba, which needs the interaction of agoutis opening the fruit, breaking the shell, so that the fruit can germinate. And there's still another way in which the animals influence the reproduction and survival chances of the plant species. Many plant species of tropical forests possess very long germination times. An example are palm trees, which often have germination times of 12 to 24 months. The seeds of these plant species are exposed to a very high risk to be attacked by fungi and therefore destroyed before it comes to germination. But seeds that pass through the digestive system of animals will no longer have pulp and will be covered by the acids of the digestive system, both factors difficulting the attack of fungi. This process increases the probability of the seed becoming a healthy, strong plant one day enormously. And therefore the animals are really indispensable in the tropical forests. And there still exists another way in which the animals influence the healthy and vital growth of the plants. It's by the fact that they influence the quality and the fertility of the soils. Animals are fertilizers of the soils. With their feces, they improve the fertility of the soils, making nutrients available for the plants and influencing enormously their growth. And they are also biomass providers. They provide organic material for decomposition and therefore for the processes that will make nutrients available for the plants. An example are peccaries stepping on the plants on the floor, making this material available for decomposition. Or primates, which have the habit of throwing fruits and branches of things that they don't like on the floor. And there's also the birds, which by moving in the canopies will throw dead material on the floors. This organic material not only improves the fertility of the soils, but it also helps to create a layer of organic material that helps to keep the humidity in the soils. At this point, it's very important to remember that most of the plant species of the tropical forest developed for humid, fertile soils with lots of organic material. But in the places where we used to run restoration projects, we very often won't have this kind of soil. We will normally have dry, highly compacted, nutrient-poor soils. Most of the tropical plant species will not be able to survive in this kind of soil. This is an a priori question, so therefore our efforts must be from the very start on to try to accelerate processes of regeneration of soil. And the animals, they are really important to help us to regenerate the soils, to restitute the layer of humus and make nutrients available for the plants. At this point, it is also interesting to mention that this layer of humus is very important for carbon storage. So the animals are also important to help us with the carbon problem we are actually facing, helping to mitigate climate change. But animals are not only important for reproduction and vital plant growth, they are also important for their health. Animals are important for pest control. By predating on herbivorous species, they contribute for healthy and vital plant growth, and therefore are really important to keep the ecosystem vital and healthy. An example are primates, coatis, anteaters or possums in the canopies that feed on little invertebrates, helping to reduce the number of these species that may harm the plants. And there's also animals like anteaters, armadillos or woodpeckers, which used to predate on ants and termites. An example are armadillos, which can eat up to 8,000 insects or invertebrates a day, or anteaters, which predate on up to 30,000 vertebrates a day. These species are really important in early stages of reforestation projects, as these species may destroy the whole planting in a short period of time. And there's also a group of animals that feeds on small rodents. Small rodents may be a major problem as they predate on seeds and therefore will always influence the reproduction and the regeneration of the ecosystems. Studies have shown that with the lack of large animals, the number of small rodents uses to increase enormously, leading to a reduced capacity of regeneration of the ecosystem. It is animals like ocelots, crab-eating foxes, maned wolves, snakes, and raptor birds that are really important to keep control of the rodent populations, helping to keep the ecosystem functioning. But it is not only all these animal species which are responsible for the reproduction and healthy and vital plant growth, which are essential for the ecosystem. It is also all those animal species which are responsible to keep all these species healthy and alive. It is animals like birds or bats which reduce the population of disease-transmitting agents like mosquitoes, or species like fishes and dragonflies which feed on their larvae in the water. And there's also animals like opossums, which feed on ticks. One single opossum feeds on an average of 5,000 ticks a year, being responsible for the control of the populations of ticks, and therefore very important to stop disease spreading. But there's also all those species which build shelters in the ecosystem, which are used by many different animal species. These shelters are necessary to keep animals healthy and alive, because animals, different from what many people think, also get sick if they're exposed to extreme cold, winds, or heat. This is the reason why it's really interesting to have animals like armadillos or woodpeckers in the ecosystem. And there's also the third group of animals, which is to be considered the cleaning team, which reduces the risk of disease spreading. It is all those species that feed on feces, like dung beetles or ants, all those species which feed on carrion, like armadillos, crab-eating foxes, maned wolves, or vultures. So this analysis shows that animals fulfill a variety of different ecological functions which guarantee the functioning and survival of the forests or ecosystems in which they live. This is the reason why we should start thinking about animals and not only plants when we think about forests. It will be wise to consider their requirements in terms of water, food, and shelter when it comes to conservation or restoration efforts. Especially in restoration, we will have to rethink our approaches and to start creating more fauna-friendly ecosystems if we want to create more functional, auto-sustainable, biodiverse, and efficiently carbon stocking ecosystems.